The clock above the teller's desk struck 12:30 p.m., and the small-town bank slipped into its quiet hour. The sign on the glass door flipped with a soft click, "Closed for lunch." Lena Porter, the newest cashier, sighed with relief. It had been a long morning. 3 rude customers, 1 frozen system, and the kind of silence that made your own heartbeat sound too loud. She looked around. The other tellers had already gone. Even Mr. Greaves, the branch manager, had left for his usual coffee run. Only Lena stayed. She liked the stillness when the world outside stopped asking for things. The bank was small, 3 counters, 1 office, a waiting area that smelled faintly of carpet glue and coins. Behind her, the vault stood like a steel monument, humming quietly. She'd never been inside it. Only Greaves had the access code. But today, something was different. The keypad light, which was normally red, blinked green. She frowned. "Maybe he forgot to lock it," she muttered. "He never forgets anything." Curiosity is a strange thing. It never feels dangerous at first. Lena walked closer, her shoes echoing softly on the linoleum floor. The keypad screen displayed a message she'd never seen before. "System override. 0:30 lock cycle interrupted." "Lock cycle," she whispered. The handle of the vault door was slightly turned, as if someone had opened it and stopped halfway. Her breath caught. "Mr. Greaves?" she called out, though she already knew no one would answer. The only sound was a faint buzz of the overhead lights. She hesitated, then gripped the handle and pulled. The door opened an inch. Heavy, cold air spilling out. Inside, everything looked normal. Stacks of cash boxes, records, safety deposit drawers. But something on the bottom shelf drew her attention. A small metal tin, the kind that looked too personal to be company property. She crouched and pulled it out. The lid was sealed with red wax, pressed with strange insignia. A triangle inside a circle, surrounded by tiny letters that looked Latin. Her pulse quickened. What the hell is this? She carried it to the counter, broke the seal with a pen, and opened it. Inside was a folded note, and a small brass key attached to a faded ribbon. The note read, "For the cashier on duty, open the safe in the basement before he returns." Lena froze. What safe? The bank didn't have a basement. At least, that's what she'd been told. Then she noticed it. The faint draft coming from behind the filing cabinets near the back hallway. And under it, a thin seam of air whistling through the floor. Lena crouched near the back wall, listening to the faint whistle of air leaking through the crack in the floor. It wasn't just a draft. It pulsed in slow, rhythmic breaths. The seam ran beneath a row of old filing cabinets, the kind with brass handles and labels from another era. She tugged on one. It groaned but didn't move. The second slid forward a few inches, revealing a rectangular outline in the wall, a panel she had never noticed before. She paused. The bank's blueprints flashed in her memory. During her training, she'd seen a laminated floor plan. 2 exits, 1 vault, no basement. "Then what is this?" she whispered. The brass key from the tin glinted in her palm, cold and heavy. The ribbon tied to it was stiff, almost brittle with age. She noticed tiny markings etched into the metal. B17. Her first thought, basement level 17. Her second thought, that can't exist. She glanced toward the front doors, still locked, blinds drawn. The street outside was silent, the sunlight sharp and clean. Everything about the world above seemed normal. But down here, something was breathing behind the walls. She took a deep breath, slid the key into the panel, and turned. A metallic click echoed through the hall, followed by a low mechanical hum beneath the floor. Dust rained from the ceiling tiles as the concrete slab under her feet began to shift. The air pressure changed, like an elevator starting its descent. A trapdoor unfolded from the floor, revealing a dark stairwell that spiraled downward into blackness. Cold air rose to meet her. It smelled of oil rust and something older, like paper that had learned how to rot. Lena's heart pounded so hard she thought it might echo down the stairs. She hesitated at the top step. Every instinct screamed to stop. But curiosity, the kind that crawls under your ribs and whispers just one more look, had already made the choice. She turned on her phone's flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness in shaky cones. The stairs were made of iron, bolted to the concrete like a skeleton. As she descended, each step groaned beneath her shoes, metal shrieking against years of dust. Halfway down, the phone buzzed in her hand, a notification. Unknown number. If you're reading this, it's already open. She froze. The message had no timestamp, no signal bar. It looked like it had been queued, waiting to send until she reached this exact depth. "Who is this?" she whispered to the empty air. Silence. Then another buzz. "Don't look at the mirrors." Her stomach dropped. Mirrors? The stairs ended at a small landing. Ahead, a narrow corridor stretched into the dark, lined with steel walls and flickering emergency lights. Every few feet, a rectangular shape was set into the wall, glass panels framed in brass. Lena stepped closer. They weren't windows. They were mirrors. Dozens of them. Her reflection appeared again and again, distorted, ghosted, multiplying into infinity. The closer she got, the stranger the reflections became. In one, she was standing still, even though she was moving. In another, her face was turned the wrong way. She covered one with her jacket sleeve, unable to look. At the end of the corridor was a steel door, small and unmarked, with the same insignia as the wax seal, a triangle inside a circle. The key slid in perfectly. When she turned it, the door unlocked with a hiss, releasing a breath of air so cold it burned her skin. The room beyond was circular, lit by a single flickering bulb. Shelves lined the walls, filled not with money or files, but objects. A cracked wristwatch, an old photograph, a child's shoe, a woman's ring sealed in a plastic bag. Each had a white tag tied to it with red thread. Each tag bore a date and a name. Lena ran her fingers along one. May 12, 1983, Carolyn Reese. Another, August 3rd, 1996, unknown. The newest one read, April 22nd, 2024, pending assignment. Her breath caught. That was today's date. The tag was blank, no name. The space where the object should be was empty. She stepped back, her pulse thundering. No, no, no. Something clicked behind her, the sound of the door locking. She spun around. The bulb above her flickered twice, then stabilized. A faint noise filled the room. Not machinery, not pipes. Whispering. It was coming from the mirrors lining the corridor outside. 1,000 overlapping voices, murmuring the same thing over and over, low and rhythmic, like a chant buried in the walls. She pressed her hand to her chest, trembling. Then she saw it, just visible under the metal shelf. A small security camera, half buried in dust, its red light blinking faintly. Someone was watching her. Or maybe something was... The whispering grew louder. She turned toward the door and began to pound on it. Hey! Hello! But no one answered. The mirrors outside began to darken, one by one, until only a single reflection remained, the one nearest the door. In it, she saw herself, but her reflection was smiling. Lena's body went rigid. Her reflection, still smiling, blinked once, even though she hadn't. It was subtle, almost human. Almost. Then the smile widened. She stumbled back against the shelf, knocking over a box. Metal rattled on the floor. The sound echoed through the small chamber like a signal, and the flickering light dimmed to a cold, bluish hue. The mirror's surface rippled, as if something pressed against it from the other side. No, 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 she whispered, voice trembling. This isn't happening. The reflection tilted its head, perfectly mimicking her movement, until it didn't. It kept turning, slower, unnatural, until the head in the mirror faced the opposite direction. A faint crack echoed, like glass under pressure. Lena grabbed the brass key, jamming it into the door's lock. It wouldn't turn. The mechanism was jammed from the inside. She hit the door with her shoulder. Once, twice. The steel didn't even shudder. "Help!" she screamed. "Someone." The whispering in the corridor grew louder, shifting tone. Hundreds of voices now, overlapping in a single sentence that she could finally make out. "We see what you hide. We keep what you forget." Her throat tightened. "What do you want?" she cried. The voice came not from outside, but from the speaker above the door. It was soft, female, emotionless. Record initiated. Subject, Lena Porter. Time, 12:46 p.m., Incident 317B. Her knees nearly buckled. What do you mean, subject?" The light over her head brightened sharply, scanning, almost clinical. A faint click followed, like an old camera shutter. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, but the screen had changed. No apps, no messages, just a black background with white text. "You're being archived." The letters began typing themselves one by one. "We have waited for a witness. You found the door. Now we remember through you." The mirrors outside began to shimmer again, faint shapes forming inside them, outlines of people, men, women, children, all facing her direction. Each had the same faint smile. She stepped backward until her back hit the shelf. "This is a nightmare," she whispered. One of the mirrors cracked from top to bottom. A fine line of darkness split through it, and something like liquid shadow leaked from the fracture, sliding along the wall toward the door. Lena's instincts took over. She ran to the shelf, grabbed the first object within reach, the old wristwatch, and hurled it at the mirror. The glass shattered, and for a split second, the world went completely silent. Then the whisper stopped. All of them. Her breathing was the only sound. The room went still. She waited and waited. Then, from a broken mirror, a faint light flickered, not white, but gold. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Something metallic glinted inside the fracture. She knelt, hesitating, then reached in carefully. Her fingers touched something smooth and cold. She pulled it free. It was a file card, sealed in plastic, with a red string tied around it. Inside, typed neatly on yellowed paper, were the words, "Archive entry, Lena Porter, access pending." Assigned to the Reflection Division. Her blood ran cold. She turned it over. On the back, handwritten in faded ink, "Destroy this before the glass learns your name." A clang echoed behind her, metal hitting the floor. The shelf she'd knocked earlier was shifting. One of the boxes, the empty one labeled "Pending Assignment," had fallen open. Inside was a single object that hadn't been there before. Her own employee ID badge. She stared at it, her pulse thudding in her ears. Her name, her photo, her signature. Except the printed date of hire wasn't right. It said, date, April 22nd, 1984. 40 years ago. Her throat closed. No, that's impossible. Then she noticed something else. The corner of the badge was smeared with red. Not ink, blood. She dropped it, shaking, and turned back to the door. "I don't know who's doing this," she said aloud, voice breaking, "but I'm leaving." Her phone buzzed again. This time, an audio message, distorted, faint. A woman's voice, low and calm. "You can't leave, Lena. You've already been recorded. The system doesn't erase, it replaces." The vault light turned red. The mirrors outside began to hum again, a deep resonance that vibrated through her bones. Then, through the static of the speaker, she heard a man's voice. Familiar. Mr. Greaves. "Lena, listen to me carefully. You need to find the main terminal. It's deeper, under the lower corridor. You'll see a mark. Triangle inside a circle. That's your way out." Her voice trembled. "You knew about this?" "We all did," he said. "But no one ever makes it back. Not unless the system lets them." The connection cut. The reflection in the cracked mirror leaned forward, closer to the edge. For the first time, it whispered not a chant, but words she could understand. "Downstairs, Lena." She turned toward the far wall. A small door she hadn't noticed before stood half open, barely visible through the haze of red light. She stepped toward it, still clutching the file. The whisper grew softer, almost guiding her. Her hand touched the handle, cold, smooth steel, and for a moment she hesitated, her reflection flickering beside her like static. "Downstairs," the voice repeated, gentler this time. Lena took a deep breath and stepped through the door. The door closed behind her with a metallic thud that seemed to echo for minutes. For a moment, Lena stood still, disoriented. The air on the other side was colder, heavier. It carried the sterile scent of machines long forgotten by time. The hallway ahead wasn't made of concrete, like the vault. It was different. Smooth black metal, seamless, like it had been melted into place rather than built. Dim blue strips of light ran along the floor, pulsing faintly as she walked. She felt like she had stepped out of the bank and into a dream someone else had built. The whispering from the mirrors was gone. Now, only a low hum filled the air, steady, mechanical, alive. The corridor narrowed as she went deeper. On the walls, faint inscriptions appeared under the light. Strings of numbers and dates, etched so small she had to squint to read them. Each line began with a name. Alan Frost, March 17th, 1994. Marissa Klein, May 21st, 2008. Daniel Greaves, June 2nd, 2011. Her breath caught. Greaves. She touched the engraving, the letters cold and sharp. Her manager's name, the same man who had just called her. "What the hell is this place?" she murmured. She walked faster, heartbeat quickening, until she reached the end of the hall, a massive circular chamber filled with columns of softly glowing glass cylinders, each about the size of a person. Inside every one floated something, some clear, some distorted by the faint blue mist swirling inside. At first, she thought they were empty. Then one of the shapes shifted. Her mind fought to understand it. A face, faint and colorless, pressed against the inside of the glass. Eyes half open, lips parted in a frozen gasp. She stumbled back, hand over her mouth. "Oh my God!" The next column was the same. And the next, hundreds of them, stretching across the chamber, like an orchard of ghosts. Each cylinder bore a small white label. She stepped closer to one and read it aloud. Archive, Subject 317, as status, preserved. Below that, L. Porter. Her heart stopped. Her name, her own face was suspended inside the glass, eyes closed, expression calm, like she was sleeping. She staggered back, dropping the file she'd been carrying. Papers scattered across the floor like feathers. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "That's not me. That can't be me." But as she stared, the eyes inside the cylinder opened, slowly, deliberately, and the reflection of herself smiled. The lights above flickered. The hum deepened to a low vibration that made her teeth ache. Somewhere high above, a voice came through the speaker system. A calm, female voice. The same tone she'd heard in the vault. Archive confirmed. Subject 317 be entering terminal sector. "Who are you?" she shouted. "What is this place?" "You're in the main repository. The Archive of Consciousness Records," the voice replied. "Every employee chosen for replacement is stored here. Their image, their voice, their memories." Lena stared at the glass cylinder. "Replacement? When the system identifies instability, deviation, curiosity, rebellion, it restores equilibrium. New face. Same function." Her throat tightened. "You mean I've already been replaced?" "Correction," the voice said. "You are in transition." Lena's mind spun. Transition to what? The voice paused. When it spoke again, it almost sounded gentle. To memory. She turned toward the nearest console, a large screen glowing with endless lines of data. The reflection of her face shimmered in its surface. fractured by the scrolling code. Then a new line appeared. Manual override, Greaves/level 3, authorized. The screen flickered, and Greaves' face appeared, blurry, distorted, like he was talking through static. "Lena, listen to me. I don't have much time," he said. "You need to find the core panel. It's in the center of the room. You'll see a column without a subject, an empty one. That's the system's nerve. You have to pull the connection manually before it archives you completely." Her voice trembled. "Why me? Why did it choose me?" Greaves' image distorted further, his voice cracking in and out. "Because you noticed the light. You looked inside. The system feeds on attention. Every time someone wonders what's behind the vault, it wakes up." Static swallowed his voice. The screen went black. Lena turned toward the center of the chamber. There was one empty cylinder, pulsing faintly. Unlike the others, its surface was covered in cracks that glowed white-hot, as if something inside was straining to escape. As she approached, the air grew thick with static. Her phone buzzed again. The same number. "If you touch it, you'll finish what we started." Her hand shook. "Who are you?" The first one who tried. Before she could reply, the lights dimmed again. The other cylinder began to glow brighter. Faces stirring inside them, mouths moving, eyes opening. Dozens, then hundreds. They all began to whisper the same thing, their voices blending into one impossible chorus. "Pull free." Lena hesitated only a second. Then she grabbed the base of the cracked cylinder and yanked. Sparks exploded from the panel. The floor trembled. The hum rose into a deafening roar. Every glass tube in the room shattered at once. Thousands of shards raining down like frozen rain. The blue mist filled the air, swirling around her, glowing brighter and brighter until she couldn't see anything but light. And then silence. When it cleared, the chamber was empty. Every cylinder gone. Every label erased. Except one. On the floor where she stood lay a single white tag, scorched around the edges. It read, 317C active record. And under it, her own handwriting. I pulled the core, but something pulled back. The speakers crackled once more. The calm voice returned, colder now, but still composed. System reboot complete. Replacement successful. Subject 317C operational. Lena's phone buzzed. The screen turned on by itself. Her reflection smiled at her from the black glass. The world returned in silence. No alarms. No humming. No sound at all, just stillness. Lena opened her eyes slowly. The air was bright, filtered through the frosted glass ceiling of the Northgate Savings Bank. The same fluorescent buzz. The same smell of paper and disinfectant. Except something was off. The clock above the teller counter read 9 a.m. She was standing behind her register, hands resting neatly on the counter, uniform perfectly pressed. Her reflection stared back at her in the plexiglass divider. Calm, composed, unfamiliar. The doorbell chimed. A customer stepped in, greeting her with a polite smile. "Morning," she said automatically, her voice flat-controlled. Something inside her chest twitched, a flicker she couldn't name. She blinked. Try to remember what day it was. Her mind gave her only fragments. The rhythm of footsteps on iron stairs, the echo of whispers in the dark, the word archive. But every time she tried to think harder, the memory dissolved, like static erased from a screen. "Are you okay?" the man asked. "Yes," she said a second too late. "Just first day jitters." She smiled, a perfect, hollow smile. At the far end of the lobby, Mr. Greaves emerged from his office. He looked exactly the same, only calmer, more distant. He nodded at her. "Good morning, Miss Porter," he said. Her name echoed strangely in her ears. Porter. It felt like a word she'd borrowed from someone else. Greaves walked the vault, pressed his code, and paused just before opening it. For a moment, his eyes lingered on her. Then he smiled faintly, the kind of smile that knew too much. "Welcome back," he said. The vault door opened with a hiss, and a cool draft swept through the room. She felt a chill crawl up her spine. Something deep inside her, something buried, whispered that she'd been here before. When he disappeared inside, she caught a glimpse of something on the shelf, a metal tin, sealed with red wax, the same symbol burned into its surface, a triangle within a circle. Her chest tightened. Her fingers twitched involuntarily, as if remembering the weight of the key that had once been there. Then a faint buzz vibrated in her pocket. Her phone. The screen lit up with a single notification. Message received. Unknown number. She opened it. No text, just a photo. A dimly lit chamber. Rows of glass cylinders stretching into the dark. And at the center, her own face, asleep inside one of them. She stared at it, motionless, the air thick around her. Her reflection in the screen blinked, once, out of sync. Then the message deleted itself. The door chimed again. Another customer entered, chatting, smiling, life going on as if nothing had ever happened. She forced herself to smile back. Behind her, the vault sealed shut with its heavy click. Precise, mechanical, final. Somewhere deep beneath the building, a low hum began again, faint but steady. The archive was awake, and now it had a new keeper.